What's up, everyone? I'm Barry. This is the Sibling Trap Podcast. I have the beautiful Katrina on the other side for the conversation. Today we're going to be talking about the things that men sacrifice for their careers.
And I'm gonna try and figure out
First of
how I
all,
can add anything to that.
yeah, well, from the woman's perspective, I think we should talk about this because I feel like a lot of men do a lot for themselves and don't get appreciated for it by either their significant others or maybe just women in general. Um, and there's some, like, my thoughts on this, the reason why I put this down as like a topic. A lot of men and maybe women, we don't know. See, that's why I need you and your perspective. But a lot of men feel like they aren't ever loved unconditionally, right? Part of it, right? So the sacrifices men make, and this is obviously not sexist in any way, I'm not trying to be like that, but from a male's perspective, a lot of sacrifices that we make for the family unit and for our significant others, I feel like go unnoticed a lot of times. So let's dive into it. But before we do, actually, how are you feeling today, Katie? Do you have any, news or updates you want to give our wonderful followers, our listeners, or anything? Or I can go first. This past weekend, I spent the weekend up at some property in Northeast Texas. I got to get on the trigger of a lot of my guns. It sounds like your sound is out. No, I'll just keep talking. Um, yeah, so I got to do some, like on a private range that me and a buddy of mine have built a lot of firearms training, and I got back into being an instructor a little bit and coaching and teaching some of my friends, and I had a really great time. I learned a lot about, the rust that I need to break off of my body, and moving and shooting and doing all that stuff again is something really cool. I might be trying out for the PA shooting team as well, primary arm shooting team. We'll see. Throwing
Wow,
that idea around in my head. Yeah, it'd be nice to get out there and shoot with some like-minded people, and we'll see how it goes. But
I'm excited for you.
how was your how was your weekends? You went out to the hockey game with a friend of yours, right? Did you
Yeah.
enjoy it? You had fun?
Oh my
I'm
gosh, it
jealous.
was it was. I wish you were there, but no, it was a really great time. It was like the perfect Chicago night. Like getting to walk home from the game, like brisk, like a little chilly. Good energy around the game. I definitely feel like I need to learn more about the game so I can go to another one and be like, oh yeah, so that's what's happening.
Right.
But I'm excited.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's exciting. I don't
it was
know a
nice.
lot about hockey, but I know enough to where when I'm watching the games, I'm like, I know what's going on and like the penalties and all that stuff. And
Yeah, no idea.
yeah, yeah,
I was like, how many
it's tough.
quarters are there?
There's three, I'm pretty sure, right?
Three,
Yeah,
like three periods. Yeah.
periods. Yeah, yeah, quarters, period, same thing. That's
No,
how
they're not.
much we know about sports.
I know, I know. I was like, I feel so out
uh,
of place. It's fine. No, it was a good like recharge, to, like not be in mom mode, to like be able and like go have a mimosa for breakfast and not have to stress about like how that's altering my state as a mom. It's like you
yeah.
just need that sometimes.
Did you drive there?
I did. It was only like an
Yeah.
hour and a half, so it's not bad.
I keep forgetting that. I live in Texas, so an hour and a half in every direction is still Texas. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
No,
it's
I'm right
crazy.
by the border, so
Right.
when you
Okay.
come and visit, I'll take you to Chicago.
Cool. I've actually only been to Chicago one time, but it was
Mhm.
briefly. It was only there for a night, and I had to go.
Well, we would have more fun.
Let's do it for sure.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
anyway, all right. So the things like when I'm talking about different things that men sacrifice for their careers, so you got to think like at what time frame are we talking? In a man's life, is it early in his life? Is it in the middle? Is it closer? To his later years. A lot of men like to switch careers. Late
Well,
in
and you have
life.
to
I
think
mean, it's
about
never
like
too late.
you have to think about like and what point are you in your relationship too? Like, is it a
Right.
new relationship or have you been together a long time?
Right. From my experience, I've bounced around a lot. in my careers. I really haven't found a career that I'm like, hey, this is something that really excites me. This is something that I enjoy doing. This is something I make a lot of money doing, or enough money. I guess really not a lot of money, but because most entry level stuff, you're not going to make a killing. But the idea is finding something that I enjoy doing for 8 hours every day. Because if you gotta look at it, you spend way more time at work than you do at home. A lot of people do. Some people you don't have that issue, but um, the thing is, for me, it's always been like I haven't had the support from
Mm.
my significant other. So while I'm making these sacrifices, without that support at home, it's like, is this what's good for me, or is this not what's good for me? You know, and it's hard to tell because you go to work, you work 8 hours a day, and then you come home and you still have issues, and it's not a safe place. It's not a peaceful environment for you to grow in. I mean, it's going to affect your daily life. It's going to affect your career. It's going to affect your choices, your career choices, and there were times when I worked in the medical industry. I liked it, but it was stressful, very stressful, because we were constantly trying to get ready for these surgeries, and it was an issue because I was stressed out at work, and then I'd come home and I was still stressed out from like my significant other and my home life and everything. Just nothing was nothing fit. It felt like I was just in a terrible place. But um, so like sacrifices that you have to make for your career, like obviously time is the biggest one. So you're constantly putting all this focus and all this energy into making money and creating income. Basically, your largest source of income is probably whatever career that you choose. And I feel like, we're not the society that we used to be, with the whole stay at home moms, and like the wife, takes care of the home front, and the man goes and works. Now it's, both partners work, and both partners should be taking care of the home. So, um, speaking about that, like it's, women are making the same sacrifices that men are making on a daily basis. I feel like men are expected in our society. They're expected to be the breadwinner,
There's more
right?
pressure.
There's definitely more pressure. I feel like and when you don't have that support at home, because I've experienced it, it's like, well, what do I do with all that pressure? Like
Mm.
it's still there, and it's like, well, I want to find a career that is going to be worthwhile, and I'm struggling to find this job or this career that pays really well, that I enjoy doing, that I'm happy doing. And it puts all that pressure from wanting to be good, like wanting to do good and be the man and be the breadwinner, and all that pressure is just, it gets so like overwhelming at times, and it seems like,
Suffocating.
yeah, it's like crippling or suffocating, because it's like, man, I want to make good choices. I want to go and interview and do really well, because I'm expected to have that job, or expected to have that career set up. So, and from my experience, having somebody that was constantly telling me, hey, why haven't you found a job yet, and it's only been a few weeks, I'm like, it's I'm getting there. I'm trying to find what's best for me. I've applied at several different places. I mean, at the time, Katie, I was I was putting in like 5 or 6 applications a day
Yeah.
for like remote jobs. Shit, I applied at the grocery store. I applied at Home Depot. I applied everywhere I could, just so I could get into it. And it wasn't like I needed money. I had money. I was smart. I saved. I was, living off of whatever savings I had, you know, accrued before I was laid off. And it was just tough, because I had somebody that wasn't being very supportive. That was more like, it was like I don't know, I felt like I was failing when I was still trying every day. It wasn't like I wasn't trying. It wasn't like I was just sitting around doing nothing. that kind of mentality. So,
Getting really emotional because I relate to that 100%.
right.
Um,
So maybe it's not just a men thing. I mean, like I said, society's changed a lot, especially in the last couple decades. You know, with
yeah,
the information age and with the internet and social media and all these different ways to reach people. And I feel like people are still sacrificing a lot though when it comes to their careers. Like, I don't go out as much as I used to because I'm more focused on, hey, I have to be at work tomorrow. So you're making sacrifices in your careers with your friendships, with your like your extracurricular life or your recreational life. I spend a lot of time running, so I have to run around my work schedule. So like there's just sacrifices everybody has to make. I mean, it's not just guys, but um,
I think that like it can be really disheartening when people are not considerate or like can try to see your point of view when you're really just trying to, build yourself up from the ground again and not just finding
wow,
a job, but like finding or creating something that aligns with what you want to be in life. It's like, yeah, I could go work at a factory and make good money, but I would be miserable. I would then be, not a happy mom. I would not be the person that I want to be every day. And is it worth, speeding up a divorce process and getting more money if it costs
right.
me my mental health? No.
That's the thing. Um, I agree with you 100%. That's you're either sacrificing who you are for what other people want,
Yeah.
or you're sacrificing what other people want for who you are, and that's really what it is. And that's the thing. Like I rushed into the medical world because I wanted out of the bar industry. Like I didn't want to work at bars anymore. I was tired of that life. Being awake till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and sleeping
Yeah.
until like 2 o'clock. It really didn't fit in. And then also like the bar industry, it's a weekend industry. Like most people want to go out and party. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. I had my son every other two weeks or whatever on the weekend. So having to be at work all night long and then having him all day long, it was cutting into my time with him, and I was always tired and groggy, and just it was a bad time for me. So it was time for a career change, and I jumped into the medical world because I was like, oh, the jobs pay really well. It's a pretty awesome industry, having to do these surgeries and stuff. I mean, I thought it was cool. The smell was not cool, but you know, and I mean, it doesn't bother some people, or some people it does, but I feel like I rushed into that job because I needed a job right
You needed
away
an out.
because I wanted,
Yeah.
yeah, I needed, that was my way out right there. So, and rushing into that, I was like, man, I should have taken a little bit more time. I should have been more focused on my career goals and my life goals. And I'm not saying that I wasted my time, because I mean it was just me learning more about myself and learning what I
Hmm.
don't want. And sometimes life is process of elimination, and you have to look at it like that. You might not be doing what you want, but you're doing the things that you're not going to want. So that's
Yeah.
also helping you narrow down the goals and the things that you are looking for in life. So
I
it's
think,
really about, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was going to pivot a little bit. So if you have more to say.
No, I feel like it's taking that time to do like a lot of self evaluation, you know,
Hmm.
and also, not listening to the people, the other sources, the outside sources telling you, driving you towards something that you're not really interested in, or maybe rushing you into making decisions like that. So,
Yeah. I 100% agree. Um, so something, okay, so I guess I have an update because I found my ideal partner list that I like promises that I made to myself last January. I was like, oh my God. Um, which was really exciting for me to find that. But one of the things on the list was is actually the last thing um, is like knowing and embracing the fact that like as a partner you're not number one to that person. Like that person needs to have their personal development, their mental health, whatever their focus is, be their number one for the time being. And when you are like working a job or trying to find a job that doesn't align with you, it just creates such a disconnect with your partner because it's like they're not supporting you and they're not supporting you focusing on you. So it's like
Right.
understanding that like I can be number two or number three or number four and still be happy to be around you.
That's it. That's amazing. And it's so true. The issue I've had a lot is that I've put other people before myself. And like
Yeah.
especially the relationships because when I'm in a relationship, Katie, I'm thinking we,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I have that mentality of we are together. So every decision that I make affects my significant other and
Mm.
their kids or our kids. So it's very, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. It's very tough for me because I'm thinking more about other people than I am about what I want. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's a huge sacrifice in that. And now that I'm single and knowing like the only, I mean, the decisions I affect do affect, or that I make affect my son, but only a little bit because he's only with me half the time. So it's like, back and forth. So now I'm capable of making those decisions without feeling
The
any
pressure.
remorse or any pressure, right? Because if I screw something up, oh, I screwed it up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I make a decision on something and I'm like, oh, well, I should have gone this way instead, at least I know it's only affecting me. So there's a huge sacrifice there that I think a lot of men, especially nowadays, are really feeling is we're just cutting out relationships because we want to focus on ourselves more and do more for us. And I feel like a lot of women can probably align with that as well because I'm sure women are doing it too. Like, hey, like, yeah, I would love to date this guy or date this woman, but I have all this stuff going on in my life, and right now that's my main focus. Like with me, like I'm really pushing for a new career, but I'm finally in a job that I can see myself in a career doing. When like I love the gun industry, the firearms industry has been a home for me for a long time. I've found many different you know assets coming out of that industry that I'm capable of aligning with. So it's a really interesting time in my life because I feel like I don't need a significant other to make decisions, and I don't need somebody that is only just going to add more pressure to my decisions. So that's just me.
Yeah. I
So it's
think
a
that the
huge
dominoes are
sacrifice.
like starting to fall into place for you.
Awesome. Thanks. Me
I
too.
mean,
I'm trying.
I was saying, like, do you not feel that way? Like, I feel like
I
you've come
do.
so
Yeah, I
far
do.
in the last year.
I really have. The growth has been unimaginable, honestly.
Hmm.
And the coolest part about it is, and we don't know when we're ready for a relationship, but I know that I'm gonna hit, like it's gonna happen when I need it to happen. There's just so much going on in my life right now that it's not my main focus, but at the same time, like I feel like it's there. Like I feel like it's gonna happen. I finally put it into the universe hands. I'm just like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going, and when I'm ready, I know it's gonna happen. So,
Dude, manifestation is crazy.
right,
So it'll happen when we least
absolutely.
expect it.
So more onto like the sacrifices. Obviously time is one thing. Money might be another sacrifice that people. We could just change it to people are making.
Hmm.
Um, I would say like the biggest deal for me is like really getting deep with my budget and
Yeah.
seeing where I can save money, what I'm doing, like things that I'm doing that are like, hey, this really isn't serving my purpose anymore. This is the sacrifice that I am going to make personally, like soda, right? I don't drink soda. It's not a thing I've drank so much in the past. Like it used to be that, or barely ever any water. Now it's the complete opposite. I drink water all the time, and I've saved a lot of money just in watching my spending. So I
Hmm.
feel like that has helped. That's I mean that's a personal sacrifice that I'm making. I'm not doing the things that I used to like to do all the time. I'm spending a lot more time at home, personal development. I'm reading books. I'm spending time on the internet looking for different things and trying to better myself instead of constantly be having a good time. I guess I mean it's not that I'm not having a good time. It's just like
Yeah.
I'm more focused on how am I going to grow? How am I going to be better? How am I going to do better versus, what bar am I going to hang out at this weekend with my friends or,
Hmm.
what parties or like it's Mardi Gras weekend last weekend. I was out at a range shooting in the rain, in the cold rain versus out having fun, so
Yeah.
it's just a different perspective I feel. And it's
Hmm.
definitely a sacrifice because yeah, I would be having more fun if I was out with those people and having fun doing whatever. But what am I getting out of it? Is really the question. So
Well, and you're like planning for these races. Like you'd rather save that money for the races than, have it night out on the town.
absolutely, yeah, you're right, 100%. Because I mean, most race registrations are like $100.
Yeah.
That's like that. I look at that exactly like, oh, well, that's like a night of drinking or a
Hmm.
night out at a restaurant, with drinks and stuff like that's usually how much I'd spend, 50 to $100. So it's really about and yeah, like running a race. What am I getting out of that? Not a whole lot, I it's an accomplishment for sure, like a personal accomplishment. I get a cool medal, I get a T-shirt usually, and then it goes in my closet and on my wall, But those
Yeah.
are those are memories too, because while I'm running that race, I mean, I'm seeing things that I never would have seen before. Like it's just crazy to me to think like I ran across this giant bridge in Houston, right? When I ran the LaPorte half. I've ran through the streets of Santa Barbara now, where there's hundreds of thousands of people out there cheering. But those are memories that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I could have been out drinking and probably not remembered
Forget the
everything
whole
that
night.
happened. Yeah, exactly. Nailed it. Yeah, that's exactly the truth. And, you know, I feel like I'm making the right choices. That's what it really boils down to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what are some of the other sacrifices? You got to think about like
Physical health.
location. So, or yeah, physical health. That's a good one. Being tired all the time is a thing, and working late, long hours, or I mean, even if you're working from home, you might be home, but you're not actually home. I was
Yeah.
saying like location. You might be home, but like if you're focused on working, I know you have a lot of this. You can't spend that quality time with your significant other or with your kids. Or you're not just not doing what you want to do. I mean, I
Yeah.
would much rather throw a TV show on and sit here veg out on my phone or game or do puzzles, read all that other stuff, versus having to work on a PowerPoint or something like that. But we got to put in that sacrifice for our career, especially if we want to be successful. I like a couple weeks ago, I had to work all day long and then immediately come home and work on that project that I had to send out to the marketing director. And I was very happy to do it. But at the same time, I could have been doing that, or I could have been spending that time running or something
Yeah. It
else.
takes a toll if it's like consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Mm.
that's something that even my supervisor at work was like, hey, like I respect you because you didn't want to put the team in a bad spot by working on this stuff while you're at work. Like you worked on it when you got home. And that's the thing too, like you're, when you make sacrifices like that, other people notice. They're going to see it. Like, and he gave me props for that. And he was like, you put the team first. Because, yeah, I could have been like, hey guys, it's like, I'm going to fuck off and go over to the cube and spend 4 hours working on this. But I didn't want to leave them high and dry, if we were shorthanded or whatever. So,
You're a decent person.
That's I care about my people, man. And yeah, I mean, it's common sense. Sometimes you just got to put in the extra effort when no one else is looking, and that's integrity. That's really what that is having integrity.
So what is one sacrifice that maybe you don't want to be making anymore moving forward when it comes to your career?
Um, that's a good question. It's a tough one. It's really the happiness. I don't want to sacrifice my own happiness because noticing the difference between my life now and my life in the past, I feel so much better. And that ties right into health too. Because, like, if you're unhappy all the time, you're depressed, if you don't like your job and you're only doing it for the money or you're only doing it because you like the people, whatever the case is, I feel like that is super detrimental to your health and
Yeah.
your happiness. Like, it's just so important to me now. Like, if I'm somewhere where I'm not happy, I immediately know that I have to find something else, and I know that I have to put in the time to find something better. And I've suffered, Katie. I've literally had that same thought where I was like, I really fucking hate this job, but I'm gonna do it because it's making me good money and it's gonna get me through this chapter in my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was such a terrible time because I was like, I worked so many hours and I was working for people that didn't care about me, that didn't have my best interests at heart. And then I was coming home to somebody who also didn't care about me, who also didn't have my best interests at heart. And I was just in this place where it was just dark. And I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I swarmed myself in this terrible place. And I was just so unhappy all the time. And it showed. It showed in how I treated people. It showed in how I treated myself. And Katie, I didn't even recognize myself looking in the mirror. I was so upset day in and day out that I was like, I have to do something else. I have to find something else. And I don't think, I think getting laid off from that job is what led me to look for something else.
Yeah.
I would have stayed there. I would have stayed there until the end, until the bitter end, and I would have been miserable that entire time. And everything happens for a reason, and it's taken me years and years to see that truth. But when I finally found where I'm at now, I was like, wow, I want this to happen. And it was just a random application. I was like, hey, that's cool. Let's see if I can get in that. And I sent it out, and I got an email. Then the very next day, looking for an interview. Interviewed the next week, and it was like, boom, you got the job. Like,
You
it
know
all
why?
happened so quickly. I, well, yeah, go ahead.
Because no, I mean like no, like you weren't attached to the outcome. You're like, oh, that's cool. Let's see what happens. And then you just applied, and it was like, okay,
You're right. You're absolutely right. I wasn't like white knuckling, hoping and praying that it'll work out. It was like, hey, that would be cool.
yeah.
And it worked out. And it turns out it's been the most fun that I've had in a job in a long time. And I'm super excited to go to work every day. And yeah, like, I mean, it's still work, it's
Right.
still a job. But at the same time, I
It's
feel like
purposeful.
it's the growth, right?
Hmm.
I'm growing in such a way that I'm happy now. I'm happy with my growth. I'm not like dreading going to work every day and like so excited to come home, and I sleep so much better and I feel better every day and I'm happy. And that's what's great about it is everything in my life when I first got this job, everything in my life was falling apart. Like literally everything. It was just all coming loose and I was just like, well, I have to start with one thing, and I started with a job, and I started with looking at it into more of a career aspect, and then it was just like everything I wanted just started landing in place, and it's been amazing.
I'm so happy for you.
So thanks.
I'm emotional today. I'm like, Okay, everyone's gonna just make me cry. It's fine. It's okay.
It's okay. I'm I mean, honestly, I'm making sacrifices in the sense of I'm not pursuing relationships that aren't serving me. I'm not out there drinking. I'm not partying, but I am still having fun in ways that, I've always wanted to in the past. So,
You're doing you. You're focusing on you.
and that's the best part is nobody can really understand that unless, you're doing it yourself. You have to be able to make those decisions of would that benefit me or would that hurt me when it comes to different extracurricular activities and things like that.
And I think that like the last year has really put it in perspective of like, am I doing this for me or am I always thinking about what I can do for my partner? And it's
Yeah.
just like such a shift, which I think will benefit you from now on.
And not just like my partner, but like people pleasing, like
Yeah.
you get invited out and it's like, well, I would much rather be here in my apartment doing what I want to do, or would it make that other person happy for me to come hang out with them?
Hmm.
And sometimes people they're worth that effort though. They're worth that sacrifice. But then it's not, sometimes those people are just sucking the life out of you and you just have to get away from them. So
Yeah. And without the
creating that
guilt.
distance. Absolutely. It's my life. Just like it's their life, just like it's your life, and the choices we make, yeah, they affect other people, but the biggest person it's going to affect, or the most person, most, the person it's going to affect the most. Jeez, my words are not
That's okay.
formulating today.
That was cute.
Is yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. So,
You are worth the sacrifices you're making.
absolutely.
Hmm. That was
So,
good.
what other ideas do you have
I think that was good. I think that
from a
was a good
woman's
like
perspective? Yeah.
um I feel like I mean I'm not in a position yet where I am the sole parent without support. Um, but I definitely do feel the pressure every day. Like I've had dreams. Did I tell you? I don't know if I told you this, but I had like three dreams in the past month, which I don't dream. Like dreams of like, water damage in my house that I had to like evacuate immediately. And there's just like this like subliminal, like subconscious pressure of like, you need to like
Getting
make
out.
this happen
Yeah.
fast. Um, so I'm every day like pushing myself, but trying not to like drown in negative spirals because I can't be having that. I won't do
Yeah,
anything.
well, yeah.
Mm-mm.
That's been my issue, and this is many, many years ago, but there were so many different options that I was crippled by the decision
Yeah.
of which way do I go, you know? And it's when I got out of the plant industry, like work. I mean, it's like the factories up there for y'all. Like the
Yeah.
plants here in Houston is like, yeah, it's a great income. It's a great career choice. I'm not frowning on it. If anybody that listens is into that industry or that's what they do for a living, I'm
Just not
not
for you.
judging. But working 6 days, 12 hours a day, I've done it. And it is tiring. It is abusive to your body. And I'm happy I did it when I was younger because, like right now, I mean, if I don't get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep, I'm like, I wake up groggy as hell. And I spent all that time making all that really good money. And then the one day a week that I had to decompress, I was out getting drunk as hell. And it was just a really bad cycle for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it put a lot of stress on me whenever I quit that job because I knew I was unhappy. I knew that that wasn't for me. And then I had so many, like, that's when I went back to school to be a pilot. And I had all these other career opportunities. I worked at a boat shop for a little while, working on these really fast speedboats. It was really fun. It was an exciting job, but then I was like, well, it doesn't make a lot of money, and it's kind of like it's like a niche kind of thing around here.
Yeah.
wasn't for me. Then I, worked in a gun store doing sales, and I was like, sales isn't for me. And then, I gunsmithed for a little while, like working on guns and restoring them, refurbishing them, and building them. I liked that, but it just wasn't. And I had all these different ideas and all these career paths, and I was just like, I want to fly. That's what I want to do. It's what I feel most natural doing. And ever since that day, Katie, I'm still looking at how I can make that happen because I want to be a pilot. And being a pilot, I mean, I'm already a pilot, but doing that as a career, I just feel like that would be so much fun for me. Like I
Yeah.
would never show up to work and be like, "Oh, this job sucks." I'd be thankful and happy every day that I get to fly planes for a living. Like that would be
And I think I
best
should point
case.
out, like you just said something that was really powerful. I think you've come a long way in this because you said, I'm always looking for how I can make that happen instead of wishing that I had made that happen, and
Right.
it's moving from that like negative space to the empowered space of like, well, I am going to, I just need to figure out how. That was great. Proud of you.
It's the growth, man.
All the growth.
can't stop it. Can't stop, won't stop.
No,
It's
this was
exciting.
a good episode. I feel like everyone can relate to it in in some type of way, and it just
Yeah.
helps perspective wise to like think about what your partner's going through or what your partner did go through, and like how you can be more supportive moving forward if you're going into a new relationship. Like how can you show up and be the person that they need, but also honoring what's true for you.
Right. And it's all about not putting unnecessary pressure on your partner
Yeah.
because and I feel that a lot of my partners in the past didn't understand how much pressure I was putting on myself when it came to career choices and job choices, and it sucks. It's painful. Like I'm getting emotional thinking about it because I'm like, if I just had somebody that was a little more supportive and a little less pushy or like putting too much pressure, like the career choices that I could have made, along the way would have been more beneficial. But everything
And
happens for a reason, and I see that. I do.
if your partner's not supportive of that, then that's a really big red flag that you need to like think about
Address. Yeah,
and not accept.
absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
We are worthy of the support. I love you and I'm
I
excited
love
for
you.
you. You have a race in a couple weeks, don't you?
I do. Yeah, it's the Pearland Half Marathon. So
Are you getting
um,
excited?
kind of, yeah, a little bit. Usually about like a week before is when I get excited. But
Okay.
right now I'm just kind of in this space where I'm like, oh, I need this next week to train because like last week I ran a really, I mean, before the Houston Marathon, I was averaging like 20 miles to 35 miles a week, and I've really scaled back my running since the marathon because I'm not really pushing now. It's more like maintaining.
Yeah.
Uh, but I need to run a bunch this week and see where I'm at. But I set a new PR for what was it, the 10K
Okay.
last week. So it's not like I'm not getting faster. It's just I really need to focus. And with
Consistently.
so much going on in my life right now, that focus on racing is now shifting to job career mode, and then it's like going back and forth. And like this past weekend, I one thing I did notice that I never got tired. Like I
Wow.
was doing a lot of movements and a lot of running back and forth and like sprinting and stuff like that. And I realized that my endurance has gone up because like the last time I went out and did training like this, I felt like I was gassed more often. I was like heavy breathing, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, that got my heart rate up.
Hmm.
But this weekend I was like, oh well, my heart rate's up a little bit, but I feel fine. I feel great.
Wow.
Let's go do it again.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so there's some more physical growth there. So,
I love that for you.
but yeah, I'm super excited about the race. It's the 25th, so still got a couple weeks.
I'm excited. Well, thanks for listening today, guys. Hopefully you found this inspiring or thought-provoking. And as always, please share your thoughts with us over on Instagram at the Sibling Trap. And if you're watching on YouTube, click a thumbs up, Why not? Give it a little like to the video. Any last
Yeah.
words?
Nope. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope that helped.
Okay.
Put
I
some
love you.
perspectives. So, love you. Have a
Have a
great
great
day.
day. Okay, bye.